How you doing, guys? Welcome back. It's LSP. It's currently the 27th of July 2022. Before I get into the analysis on Bitcoin, the audio may be slightly off. There's not very much I can actually do about the audio at the moment because I'm not currently at my PC. I'm using a Mac, slightly different setup, for now. But you'll be able to hear me. Obviously, it's just slightly echoey. So with all of that said, we're going to be predominantly focused on Bitcoin going forward for now. Some things have slightly changed in terms of market dynamics, the way that the chart is setting up, the structure of price, and so on. So we have a new level that's in play. I have made a mention recently that if price does start to really push, to be super cautious, be very, very careful. As I've said many times, my analysis isn't about being right or showing anybody how smart I am. It's about logically finding, the cracks that make sense, the nuances that make sense, that give us confidence to say, do you know what? Now I'm happy to put my money into the market because right now, does it feel like it's the right time to be buying Bitcoin, for example? I'm going to use the buying Bitcoin narrative for a moment. Does it really feel like it makes sense to buy Bitcoin at the moment? I personally don't think that it does. You look across the board, you look at markets, and there is some upticks. It does look like there's this kind of slowdown. It seems like the markets are starting to produce some upside. The inflationary numbers, and obviously the rate hike was expected. We knew there was going to be minimum 75 basis points, obviously. With a possibility that we were going to get 100 basis points, but these kind of slow pushes to the upside, or this what seems to be a so-called bottoming, on Bitcoin, it's just not enough for me. When I look at Bitcoin like this, I see an up candle, which was to be expected, obviously. There was quite a bunch of scenarios, and obviously I've been throwing a lot of stuff out there to say, look, if this happens, then I'm doing this. If this happens, I'm doing that. And if that happens, and so on. Because it's about preparation. It's about making sure that you are not engaging unless it actually makes sense for you and your own personal methodology. For me personally, it just doesn't make sense, right? If I just quickly go over to Binance just to show you something. You guys know I've been waiting for this 148 level, and I won't do anything until I see 148. Now, if you look at this downtrend on Binance and then this rally here, just confirmed a rally in a downtrend as it started to run lower, then it ran lower again. And now we're getting a little bit of a run to the upside. On the weekly chart, it looks like a blip. It's not anything special. But when you look at the 4-hour chart of, say, Bitcoin, for example, you see a really strong candle and people start to get excited, and it's the influencers come out of the woodwork and they start talking about, we knew this was going to happen. Look at this trend line, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, if you just take a huge step back and just look at the weekly chart of Bitcoin and just take a second to update, we're seeing the same thing. We're just seeing a little bit of a rally in this downtrend, and the reason that it's so slow and stabilizing is because it's in an area where it's just picked up buy-side liquidity. That's it, nothing more. Okay. So again, has anything really changed? Not really, not really. So if I just go over to the Bitcoin 4-hour chart and stretch it out, this new level up here, 5. If you remember a couple of months ago, I was mentioning 24 to 26, right? At the time when I was talking about 24 to 26, and this is what this blue range is, I'll just do this so you can see 24 to 26,000. When I mentioned that back then, the structure of price on the weekly and the daily, right, was such that the daily chart was confirming, right, that we could potentially get a run into 24 to 26, and it still would in no way change the bearish undertone on Bitcoin. It just doesn't, like, at all, until we get objective fulfillment, which is something that I've been strongly pushing for quite some time. We are definitely headed, for much lower prices. It has to happen, from a structural point of view and from a reset point of view. It could happen at any moment. It could happen in months. It could even take, towards the end of this year, going into the first quarter of next year. Anything can happen. It is going to take some time. There are a couple of people out there that are making videos that I have a lot of respect for, because they're saying we're going to be in a choppy market for quite some time, and this is something that I agree with. Until we see some real push one way or another, expect more of this kind of volatility and this kind of sideways motion. But for now, 5 could potentially be in play. That would put us, right in the middle of this range for the second push up there, take out this high as well. And in the meantime, we just have to be patient. But the weekly chart is still in charge. The weekly chart is still, the strongest dominant. So with all of that said, take care, guys, and I'll speak to you soon.